We are live. It's Friday 26, 2014. And we're gonna show today how to search the database, how to search the CRM. Checking right now if everything is working correctly and if you can hear me fine, hopefully. We have a background of construction. We are constructing certain things around, so apologize for that, but I'll try to do my best and speak up. So just waiting to know if everything is okay, verifying that, and I will start. As I was saying, um, our master class today is related to searching the database. There are many ways to search the database. And as you know, in your program, you have either two, the simpler and advanced, or you have three levels if you have the ultimate. And some options are available anywhere. Some options are available only in the advanced, and a few are available in the expert view only. But majority of them are available either in an, in all views or in the advanced view. So I'm going to start with the basics. And the basics, the most important in a database is searching. Databases are done to search, essentially, to hold information and to be able to retrieve them. If you can't retrieve information from a database, then there is no use. That's why if the retrieval process is incomplete, faulty, or slow or too slow, then you're going to have a problem, especially if you intend to have thousands of records. Remember that in this particular, this is a testing platform. It's not my real platform. I have here 5,000 records that I added for this purpose, for the purpose of the class. In reality, I have 170,000 records in my database, and I don't have a problem. I could have a million, and that would be okay. So while probably neither you or I will have a million clients ever, but it's possible to have hundreds of thousands of leads for many reasons or different businesses. So it's important that the software can handle those numbers and with ease and won't choke on their big quantities of records when searching or finding. We're going to use interchangeably find or search in our presentation. So we have the find context here, and that is the essential button to do a find. And we call that usually quick find. You can access this button also by clicking Control 4, okay, in your program. There are a few programs that don't have this, but the majority, you can have Control 4. So if you press Control plus 4, which I'm going to do right now, it's going to open the Find dialog, and it's going to be exactly the same as if you clicked the button. And I remind you to open the screen, to have if you haven't done that already, to use the full screen to enjoy thoroughly the presentation. So here we have what we call the quick find, okay? And the quick find means exactly that the program will look in any of these fields, first name, last name, company, phone numbers, all of them can have unlimited phone numbers, keywords, product codes. This is only for the ultimate, but anyways, URL, which is the website, right? You can have several URLs too, referrals related to state, email, keywords, and contact ID. So it will work and it will find cross-reference any of these fields. So again, you could have, for example, one word that relates to the first name, and another could be part of the area code, and another one could be part of the state. And I'm going to prove that. And that would be, for example, I can do John 305 FL. So, of course, the program doesn't know if this is the code of a state. It will look for any FL. So it could be possible that it will say a company that is called Florida will be found if we have John and 305. But because of this combination, probably we're going to have a nice search. Let's see. So, it couldn't find any in this particular case. So it's a little bit weird, to be honest. Uh, but anyways, I'm gonna try again. I'm gonna put in this case John 3. Oh well, maybe we don't have any Johns here. So let's do something like John only. I'm gonna do only John. Yeah, this is a testing platform. I'm used to use John for my examples, and I have some. But in this case, there is no Florida John 305. So anyways. So here we observe in the one selected, which was 110 in a fraction of a second out of 5,000. But if it was a half a million records, it would have been a fraction of a second the same. So, it's extremely fast. But the um, important fact here is that it's not only finding the beginning of a field, like for example, that should be John here, but it's also finding Johns that are part of the second word. As you can see, we have here the last name first, and as a company, of course, all these are fake, so it doesn't matter. These are designed for testing and not for use. But here we have John, but in this one we have John here, and we don't have any John here, but we have it here. And we may have it also in the email, and maybe wouldn't be here, and that would be okay, because it will be one of the searchable um, fields. So that would be okay too. So now, in order to select that contact, I will simply click on it in the yellow area, and it will be selected, and then I can work with it doing whatever I want. Now, let's say that I want to repeat somehow, or I'm going to do a different one now first. So I'm going to do yours. Hopefully there is one. Yeah, at least. So there are several. There are 17. And I have, again, we have George here, even though it says Art, we have George here, if it says Gregorio or whatever, it doesn't matter, or Georgette here, and this Georgette is here also. So it doesn't matter, it will select. By the way, if you click in the yellow columns, it will go to that contact. But the emails, we allow to modify it, and the URLs, because you may want to do that at some point. So we allow to modify these. And so I'm going to go here to your yet, and that's the intended use. Now, let's say that I want to search for John again. I don't need to type John, because here we have the last 20 searches, which usually are not the name. It might be the name, of course, but usually are the telephone number, for example. That could be a normal use. When someone calls, you see in the caller ID, you do a search, and then you're with your client immediately, knowing or finding his file or her file, and you can interact with him. So here, for example, John, click on John. Again, I have the same search as before. It doesn't go to that particular John, but I have the search. Of course, if it was a phone number, it would be very precise. If I search for this phone number and I do a find here, I'm going to find exactly that. By the way, I can put the phone number in any way, shape, or form, meaning that if I do a find, for example, and I take away these things, or even if I put, weird things here, it doesn't matter. It will find the phone. Okay, it will find the phone, and because of that, it will find the person. Okay, so that would be the quick find, Control 4, or you can use the scripts here, or you can use the button, you can use Control 4, and that is the most useful and fast way to find someone. Never, or almost never, use the list, like the list contact, to find a contact. That is a kind of a bad habit that somebody can acquire, because at the beginning they have very few customers, of course, and then they, it's kind of easy. Click list contacts, find the thing, and you have the whole list. But obviously, as you grow and have more clients and leads and stuff, that's going to be impossible, almost useless. Which so that's why our software does not open in a list, because it's a list essentially is a way to go to a form like this, so you can see as much data as possible. Here you don't see that much, but there are other views where you will see much more. So here you see only the essential. But again, don't use the list context unless you mean it, but don't take that habit. Now we're gonna explore a little bit the full find. The full find is right here. By the way, before that, the full find is right here. I wanna mention that in the quick find, you can also do a quick find from selected records. And that could be very interesting. For example, I'm gonna do a John again to show you that for a second. And let's say already I have selected John, right? I have 110. So let's say now that I want to find, oh, sorry. Uh, I click on the yellow and I didn't mean that. So let's say that now I'm gonna do Duncan, but I only want to find Duncan from the selected records. So that means that it's not gonna be from all the records, which I could have more, right? I could have more Duncan. So here is a restriction. So it's a way to find. So I'm gonna click Duncan, and of course I find at least one because I knew that it was there, and that would be excellent. Another trick that you can do to find, because remember this class is essentially not a precise class on the find button or the find feature. Is a class on searching, so techniques on searching, if you will, at least in a basic mode. Um, and I'm gonna try to cover as much as possible and advanced techniques. So for example, let's say that I do again, I find John. Um, and notice that I've been typing John because it's so easy to type, but obviously if it was a phone number, it would be easier for me to look in the previous saved records that the find dialog has. So here, for example, I can, in order to expedite the search, once I have this John, but obviously I'm looking for one, and I have many here, and I'm not sure with one it is, so I need to read it to be sure which one I want. So I can do several things. For example, I can click and sort by company name, and I can sort back and forth, meaning ascending and descending. Same thing I can do with a first name or the last name and be able to identify the one I want. But also I have these buttons here that will allow me to go and to search, pretty much selecting uh, names or companies or last names, actually, last names or companies that will start by this letter. How do I do that? Well, if I click the J, you see the tooltip, select first name by selected letter. First name by selected letter. If I do with shift click, it will be the last name. And if I do shift control, it will be the company. So I'm gonna do the J here, the plain and simple, and it asking me if you want all the contacts or selected. Well, usually the right answer is selected because that's already my selection. So I don't need to um, do from all. That wouldn't be wise, but it's possible. And now we have 24. Okay, from that list of 110, you can see here we have only 24, and I have this all these start by J. So now if I sort, I can see, the John here, and probably is one of them that I want. But even if I had too many, which happen many times, especially when you have thousands and thousands. So maybe you remember the company that is started by an R, that would be shift control, right? And that would be like this, selected, and boom, now I have only two. And obviously, well, it's very easy to find the one I want, probably this one. And um, I, I was able to find in a huge list with this, not only essentially when you have the phone number, it will be just one or two if you have a duplicate, but or an email. Unique things like phones, URLs, or emails are ideal to find, but not always you have that. Okay. Now we're going to talk about other features. Even in this dialogue, you can do the opposite. You can omit the one. So, for example, if I have a huge list, that total list, and I say, well, I don't want John's, uh, or a particular, a particular state, or a particular area code. Well, I will be able to type it and then omit from the selected records, omit all of those. And the same I can do with the span. A span is the opposite of omit, and it will add. So for example, I have two here, but if I do a George, you see, and I expand on this, I have 18. So that means that I have 16 George and two John somewhere. This one is one. Well, this one is your two, but I have the John here. I have the John, our John, and another John. This one I think has both by coincidence. So, but this one, you see, so I added. So in that way, you can compound your search and have multiple searches added one after the other for advanced users and advanced needs. For example, to select a group to email, that could be um, a nice use of that. And then this is like a quick find plus clipboard. So basically, it copies to the clipboard the quick find, which makes it easy, especially if you made a mistake. If it was very long or something and you want to review, you made a mistake, you don't find it. Now you have it in your Windows clipboard. You can paste it again with Control V, as in Victor. Okay, so now we're going to talk about a full find. A full find is more or less what other people's have. Well, they don't have it that advanced like this one, but it's called usually query by example. So that means that you're gonna select, or you're gonna ask for things based on the field. And so you're gonna present your search in the correct field. So if you put John here, for example, it's gonna be only John. By the way, always click clear fields before doing anything, okay? So I'm gonna do that myself, just to maintain the habit. Because sometimes, because there are so many fields, sometimes you have from a previous search you have something, and then you're gonna go crazy because you don't get the desired results. And so I click John, right? And I can click more things. I can type more things. I can type John. I can type whatever I want in any field, and then I can click Find from All or Find from Found Set. Actually, essentially, find for unselected. So I'm gonna click from all, since I know already that I don't have anything selected or very few. And this is notice that in this particular case, still, even though everybody starts by John, I can have Johnny, I can have Jonathan, I can have Yoni, and so that's fine. That's the intended to use, but I can be more precise if I want. So if I want, I can say identical. Okay, I can say identical, and I have here, you see these symbols, so I don't have to remember the symbols. I can click on the symbol, put the cursor of the mouse, and then put the symbol. This is not field content match. Okay, this one, sorry. This was a literal text. But so here is the content field content match, And that means that exactly has to be John. So cannot be Johnny. Okay. So that can be done in any field. So if you put FL for Florida, it's going to be only Florida. So we have one John in Florida. Okay. Um, we have one John. So if we wanted to do experiment with that, I can select Florida here and find from all, and I have only one, and that should be your search. All the things that you can do in the full find. There is a very advanced features here. Um, Among them, the credit card. Remember that you can hold up to 5 credit cards per client, and so sometimes it's difficult to find the client that has a credit card if you have several. So with this one, you can search, and it will search in all 5. And the last, um, the last 4 of a credit card, you can enter that also, and it will be searched. Okay, so if you know any of these, you can enter it, and it will be searched in all 5 credit cards. Also, this one, this is kind of a very powerful option. And these are the labels, if you will, of the user-defined fields, which are here. Let me show it to you so you don't get confused here. And in other places, depending. Here we have a blank. Usually you're not going to have a blank. You're going to have whatever you put here: social security, driver's license. I imported these 5,000 records just for this presentation. That's why it's open. I mean, blank. But if I had something here, okay, so I'm going to put something. So I'm going to put something in the number 1, right? This is number user-defined fields, number 1, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. These are dates. These are numbers, and days. So sorry for that. Someone is interfering. Sorry. Nothing I can do, but it will eventually it will stop. Anyways, so we have the text, numbers, and date. So I'm gonna select all, right? So you don't think that I have this one selected. So I'm not cheating, and I'm gonna go to the find context, full find. By the way, you can go directly to the full find by clicking shift. Okay, so I'm here. I'm gonna click clear field, right? That's what we know, and um, and now I'm gonna type here something, and I'm gonna search from all those 5,000. Okay, what is the mouse? And yeah, lo and behold, we have this one, just one selected. Okay, so this is a very powerful thing because you might have for a particular group, even though this is not a group, these are user-defined fields, but you may know that a label is labeled that way and you want to find by that label. So that could be and should be um, considered. Then we have the groups. Also, we can search by these groups, even though it's possible, and I'm going to show it in a few seconds. I'm going to show how to search by groups, which is much better than this. But in some cases, you may want to find a specific set based on someone checked as an active client, and it has something here, and it might have something there, whatever. So so it's possible that you want to find a specific group, and on top of that, you can add groups. So, for example, you can say that there are prospects, for example, let's say it was this one, and prospect that I had a busy call. So you can do that in one click as opposed to do it in 2 or 3 clicks with the other system. So this could be something to consider. Also, we have this one. This is a kind of a very advanced. So in here, you will be able to find anything in the extra fields. What are the extra fields? The extra fields are not the user-defined fields. The extra fields are the ones that we have here. So if we have, for example, I'm gonna put here my title. I'm gonna put here my title, and I can, as you know, um, link the document here, or from here I can import a document, and I can pretty much have it here and view it later. But I can also search, and I'm gonna put here something. I did it wrong. You know that the spelling checker worked uh, pretty quickly. And so I'm gonna select again everything, and I'm gonna find with the full find. I'm gonna clear just to be sure, and I'm gonna put here in any field. I'm gonna put something. Okay, so find from all. Lo and behold, we have it right here. So if you have content here, because this is the path to a document, if you are importing a document, or it could be content, because this can be unlimited. So for example, for attorneys, some of you might be attorneys, and attorneys need specific fields for specific cases. And I recommend you to see another of our videos that talk about clicking. You can see here that you click Shift Control, you're gonna have structures of fields that you can copy and create. So for example, a bankruptcy for an attorney would need different fields, whether they are here or here, because maybe this wouldn't be enough, 10. So you can have unlimited. So it may have a structure that you want to reuse. And a divorce will have a different structure. So that could be very powerful. And then you can search on top of that on all those fields, okay, on all these fields especially. This one you can search individually, but in this one you can search any field. A very, very powerful option. That's why it says any field, okay. Here, the strategy status, which is what we have on top of the task manager, also searchable, but we're going to search that in a different way. And then we have here tasks and stuff. And even though the task has its own search and is better and more, I would say precise, not precise, because it was going to be the same result, but actually it's going to be more appropriate. And or even you can look for clients with a specific auto messenger, or they were created by a specific agent, or it was created on a range of dates. Because that's another thing. You can do a range. For example, I can say something like from today, and then I can put myself at the end, right? And click range, which is actually is 3 dots. You can do it by hand when you know a little bit, and then you can put created from last week. Okay. So actually, this one, I don't even know if this one would work because it's not correct. This one is backwards, right? So I don't know if it's going to work, but it doesn't matter. You understand that the range could be very useful to get a range of whatever. And I'm gonna try still. Okay, it didn't do it because what I said. But if we put it backwards, which would have been the correct thing to do, now we have it correctly. And you can see only one, and the reason for that, instead of 5,000, because the other ones don't have a creation date because they were imported. And I didn't substitute the creation date. So I did it in a programming way to make it fast. So I didn't do it through the import facility or the import area that we have in the setup. So that's okay. That this result is perfectly all right. Okay, so now, even though I might go back to show, but I don't want to, um, I don't want to, lose all the time in this basic stuff. I'm gonna try to go into a little bit more advanced one. Some more advanced, we have it in the advanced tab. So you see, this is a little bit more crowded, but of course more powerful, more fields, more everything. Here is where we have our affiliate system, and where we have all the credit cards, and more fields, referrals related to keywords, the URLs, etc. So again, in generically, I'm going to explain how to use certain things that are very, very, very useful in real life. Among them is the ability to use the black arrows. Black arrows, you know, if you hover the mouse, you will see what they are for, but um, essentially what they do majority of time, like 99.9, is to find records that match the field here. So let's say that I'm gonna put here the referrals by George Hamilton. Okay, so I'm putting that, and I'm gonna copy this to this one and this one and this one. So I'm gonna copy to four of them. Okay, four of them. And now I have still the 5,000 selected, okay? And I'm gonna try to find George. I'm in George, right? I'm in George here, so I'm gonna click the black arrow. The program suggests George Hamilton, which means that not necessarily I must use or I have to use George Hamilton. I could change this and put John if I had somebody. So in other words, I don't need to find somebody with John to find John. But usually I want to find the ones, that's why the default suggestion is the one that I have here. Then I can find from selected, it's like the other thing. I can find from selected, from all, or omit or expand, and even run. And this is related in if I had a URL or if I had a PDF path here. But again, the most useful is usually from selector or from all, and that doesn't matter since we have selected all. It doesn't matter. Now, this is important. This is kind of a special. This is a little bit special in comparison to other black arrows. The referral black arrow is a little bit special, and it's special because you can specify if you want only these from referrals or you want to add the name or even all the fields like it was a regular find. So obviously, if you want, for example, when you have referrals and you have a list that you purchase or you downloaded from the internet and you have the referral something that could be even the URL of that particular place, a particular website, where you only want to search by referrals because you don't want to. In, I only want people here that are referred, so to speak, or referred by or to by George Hamilton, and so I don't want to find even George Hamilton. So I would say referrals only, but I can do this option, and even I can do a search if I want in Google. So if I have a keyword, for example, so I'm saving keywords, that could be very appropriate to say Google. So now I clicked, and you see, in a fraction of a second, even it was so fast it didn't even blink. It found four, and I mean, this obviously the speed, and I'm trying to point this out because it is important when you have thousands of records, and you should have thousands of records in spite that you don't have thousands of clients. Okay, so that's that. Okay, so in other, for example, let's put it here. I'm gonna put John. So in other black arrows, we don't have that specification, different specification, okay? You see, we only select and that's it. This one is kind of a special because what it represents. The same way with the keywords, and you can do in other versions, not versions, in other views, like the ultimate view, you have also ways to find in other places. But most importantly is to understand that in many places in the software, you have these black arrows, and you should use it to your advantage. For example, here in the user-defined field, we have these black arrows, okay, that you can, well, definitely use for that. Okay, this relates a little bit, this black arrow relates a little bit, or at least in some places. Here you see black arrows everywhere, in the auto messenger here, for example, or in the strategy. So if I have this like a warm lead, and I want to find all warm leads, with one click, well, that will be the way, pretty much. Here, from selected, or from all, in this case, I only have one still, from all, but it could be more, and I will be selected. So this is very, very useful. But sometimes one of the important factors when you enter data is that the data has to be consistent. Obviously, if you, let's say that you type here, uh, uh, say Bank of America list, and let's say that you enter many, or you receive in a daily basis prospects from Bank of America. Well, the problem is that if you misspell something, or you don't use the off, or you forget to put the word list, then the result when you click the black arrow is not going to be what you want. That's why the snippets take care of that. The snippets are a list, pretty much, of anything you want to write, and you want to be consistent to enter with this. So here, for example, let's say we're going to do the same. We're going to put George Hamilton here. We're going to put Bank of America. You see, I misspelled it. America list, etc. And it can be unlimited. Okay. And now you can, for example, let's say I'm gonna do something here. I'm gonna select all. I'm gonna go to the list contacts, and I'm gonna select just 100. Matter of fact, let me delete this one. Well, doesn't matter. And I'm gonna select. By the way, I'm gonna go to the 100, and I'm going to omit the rest. I did that by clicking Shift. Okay. So I click Go with Shift, and I was able to find 100 and eliminate the rest. So now I could come here, select Bank of America list, and I could insert this in these records. I could do that. In fact, let me show it to you. So I can do this, and it will be entered. But if I go to the previous record, you'll see that it's not here. So in some cases, that is not what we want. So I will, in this case, select insert in found as in found set, and select the records essentially. So I'm going to click continue, and now I have it in the 100 records. Okay. And of course, that's what makes it this thing consistent. Um, when you in other versions, depending where you are using this, I mean other views, sorry, in other views, this could be even a drop down. It's not a drop down here for the simple reason that the referral field is kind of a very special, because usually you can have many things here, and here you usually only have one. And so this one, in some views, you can see, for example, this view, you can, in the referral fields, you see, you can see a list to choose. But if you click George Hamilton, you're going to replace. In order to do it correctly, you should have, have it like this, meaning not selected. So to avoid errors, we don't have it here. We don't have it here, the drop down. So you can be confident. And if you add another one, it will be added. Okay, so I add one here, and I have both. Okay, so if you want to eliminate, obviously you delete it by hand. That's it. Okay, so let's see what else do we have in terms of finding. I have a few things here. Okay, by the way, that area that I opened is the one-time notes, and this is done with Control 1. Okay, so you can see here, Control 1, open my notes, and here you have up to 8 different, and you have other things. This, believe it or not, it has a lot of power, because you can have clipboard. It's a clipboard manager, and it's a way to do many things, calculator, etc. But essentially, you can have up to 8 lists. When you click here, you see we're in number 4 now. It's blank here. So, okay. So we're going to talk about the groups. There is another way to find. So the groups, they are in different places depending on the view. But in this one, in the simpler and advanced view, is in this button, contact groups. So here we have the one-click groups, the memorized groups, the to-do groups, the assigned groups, and then the user-defined groups. In other views, these user-defined groups are also here, not in this view. And so to make it a little bit more convenient, it's a little short, but okay. So the way it works is very powerful. Essentially, you're gonna put whatever you want here in these labels. You can see this for this test. I have active clients, body line, and leads. And you change that in the setup. In the setup section, you have it here in groups. You have here, you see, active clients, body line, and leads. So there you can change the names of the labels. Then you're going to mark these as appropriate. So let's say that this is an active client. Let's say that the next one is a lead, so I'm going to mark it here. The next one I'm going to put in the party line, and the next one I'm going to put into the active client again. Okay, so I can keep going, obviously, and doing this as appropriate. Usually you're going to use this method when you receive the client, when you are entering the client. At the moment that you're entering, it will be a prospect or something. Same thing for the telemarketing area, which, by the way, it will be a kind of a selected, when you select the telemarketing marketing system, you will interact, you see, you will interact with these particular groups, and you have some appropriate labels, but you can add more or modify the ones we have. So now the way it works is like this. Sorry, I meant to click groups. So let's say now that I want to find the active clients. I can click on active clients. And again, I have these selections that we know already, all selected, omit, or expand. So you can add or omit things or groups, right? So you might say, for example, leads, and then just to be sure that there are not active clients. So that could be, for example, something like this. I have this one as double, right? It's an active client and a lead. Usually doesn't make sense. So I'm gonna select all clients, yes. And I select them all, which are 3. So these 3 have the mark, the check mark on active clients. And now I'm going to omit. So I'm gonna click on leads here on the label, and I'm going to omit those from labels. And so I'm omitting from these 3. Okay, I'm not selecting, I'm omitting. Okay, now I have 2. So now I'm sure that I have active clients. I don't have any leads. So, the combinations are endless. Another thing that could be useful, let me click again in active clients, so we have 3 at least. And so let's say that I want to mark all these 3 at one time. So I don't want, if I have 100 or 1,000, well, certainly it wouldn't be a good idea to mark them one by one, at least not in this program. And so we have this button to set or clear, if it was the opposite action, the check mark. So I can click here, can do it for current, which doesn't make sense because I can click here, but I have it as a precaution here. So yes, people click, nothing happens really, only this one gets marked. Selected has to be this one. And now the 3 had been checked. So imagine if it was 1,000, well, now it has a lot of value. So I hope that you understand how this thing works. It's very, very powerful stuff to find things. Now, before we go to this one, I'm gonna talk about the on-the-fly groups. So this one is called um, one-click groups. Okay, one-click group because it's essentially one click. This one is called on-the-fly groups because this one is not to. This one is to save, let's say, forever, and this one, even though they are saved forever, but the purpose is to do kind of a group in the fly or on the fly. For example, let's say that I do a find and look for John, okay? And we know that it's more or less 100, okay? So I have 111 actually. And I go back and I mark that group here by clicking at the plus sign, okay? So now I have 111. So I have this group of John marked by clicking here. I can prove it to you. I'm gonna select all, okay? I have 5,000. I can click number one here, okay? And again, I can omit, expand, whatever, but I'm gonna click all, and I have 111. Now, imagine that I don't want people in California. So now I'm gonna do another find. I could have done it directly, but maybe not directly. But I'm gonna do a CA, okay? And I'm gonna do selection from selected, okay? Selection from selected. And I have 20, okay? The reality is that this one, because of the CA, is a very common thing. I have more than that. I can, in order to be strict with this, I could sort by this and then omit by clicking the omit button here. It will omit the ones, and now I have CA. Or I can do a full find actually and do a CA, and that will be perfect. Okay, I can do it from selected. So it's not that it's impossible or anything. It's simply that if the CA is too common, and he found that, and that's okay. But I don't want anyone in California, so I'm going to click the minus. So I'm creating a group as I'm doing this, okay? And of course, this is blank now, but it certainly is not empty. That's why I have this red dot, because I can click now. Remember, I had 111 minus 10, right? So I should have what? 101. So I have 101 in the resulting group. And I can go on and on and on, adding and subtracting. And also I can combine for more sophisticated combinations. Sometimes I can have two groups and even create a third one that will be the difference of two complex groups, right? So for example, I can have group one and I click this one, then I can have click group two, that is another set completely disparate, and I can click minus, and then I can have the resulting group. Very powerful, and that's why it's called on-the-fly groups, because it's not to be, even though it's saved, again, it's saved. So you can use it, but why? Doesn't make sense because you have these ones, and this one will be something transitory you do on the fly. And still, even doing on the fly, you might want to create a label for this. So you can do that with shift click. Shift click, this is the label. I'm going to put that this name, this very descriptive name, and I can only see it by, you see, by hovering the mouse. When I hover the mouse, this is the label, so this is fine. So you know, because even if you're doing it, you know, on the fly and all, from you did it on the morning, you don't remember in the afternoon which one is which, so that way you can remember. The to-do groups is very, very similar to on-the-fly groups, obviously, but this is something that is useful, especially when you are counting and you want to do it in a certain segments or groups. So for example, if I have the 101 that I have selected now, and I mark them here, okay, so I already have selected, I don't need to check, I know that I have selected 101, and let's say that these records, I need to call these people. I want to do it in blocks of 10 because, well, before I take a rest, I do it in block of 10 and then I take a rest. And so I did next to do 10. And you see, selected 10 from this group. So now I have 10 selected, part of that group, and then maybe I'm gonna call them, I'm gonna do something about them, I'm gonna work on them, and once they're done, I click plus. This is the done group. To do, done. So that means that this one now will contain 10, and this one will contain the total thing. But when I do the next group, this one is the first, you see, John, Erie. So we have it here, one, right? This is the first one. And the last one is Neil. And so we have John, Neil. And if I click next to do, okay, so I have another set, meaning another 10 from the 101 in a block of 10, and you can see that it was selected because this is blank, and now I can take care of those 10 and keep going. So that way, even I don't need to do it like this, I can do it one by one if I want. I can be marking, and at any moment in time, I can select one with one click. So for example, let's say that I'm gonna do like this, one, right? So I click like this, I have Carl, right? I have Carl. I do this, mark it. Even I can check it here, right? Because it's only one, so I don't need. I don't need to go. I don't need to do it in the plus. The same. I click next to do. I have the next one. So this way, very easily with one click, I can go to the ones. And again, this is not to substitute in any way, shape, or form the task manager, which has a lot of stuff, and there is a specific video in what you might call it, in LMR webinar right here. Okay, so we have here a lot of previous master classes, and we have the task manager in particular, a very comprehensive video that you can use. But again, is useful in some cases if it's not related to tasks, it's related to something else that you are reviewing, I mean, analyzing, or whatever you want to do it by one. And here we have the same thing, but for very, very large lists, we might want to have kind of a random group. So in other words, you may want to have a sample of 5 and in a random. And so in other words, it's not sequential. It's from that group, but it's a random. So um, so but it wasn't, let's see. That is from here. Retrieve the previous, oh, this is to retrieve, sorry. This is the sample. Yeah, so I can do it every 5, or I can do a random, okay? So I found 5 at random from the group. Okay, this is to retrieve actually the previous selected records. But you can do a random here, and also sampling. So every 5, for example, from that list, you do it every 5, like this one, every 5. So it's not sequential, okay? Sampling selected. So we have 20, one every 5. And it's useful depending on the case. Okay, so now we have the memorized groups. Memorized group, very important, very powerful stuff, and it works. As you can see, this one has kind of the old layout that is more aggressive in color. We are changing all the layouts to the new ones that are more pleasant to the eye, but the functionality remains the same. The idea here is that you're gonna put something that you use very frequently. So, for example, to make it simple, if I put California here, right, and I'm gonna put a name here, I'm gonna put California, and I can have unlimited groups, okay? And I can even force just one person to use it, not force, but actually only used by somebody. So if you want to allow a certain person to do a search, maybe not another person, you can specify the agent here. But once it's done, and whatever things you want to mark here, and here you have also, you should read this, but this is a very advanced way to search. You add the group, and oh, sorry, I think I did a boo-boo actually. I'm gonna put California 2, because I was supposed to click save, and I click add, so I added another one. So No big deal, but you see, I have only this one because it's the only one that it was saved. But if I click here and I have more, I will have other options. And if I have this option, I can click go. And again, find from all, find from selected. Boom. Now I have 817 that are from California. Let's see if that is true. You see, all of these are Californians. So um, so you can have presets. Another example, let's say that you're gonna do, for example, they created and you want the ones today. There is a symbol for today's date. You see this one, which is actually two forward slashes. So this is possible or modified, yesterday or something. So you can do something like that. I'm gonna delete this one because then with this one, we should find only one because remember, we had this only one created. So, so actually, I'm gonna create a group and I'm gonna put here they created, okay, or created today actually, created today, created today, and I'm gonna put here the forward slash or click here, exactly the same, save to group, and now I have both, right? And I can click go, all, and it's going to be one. We knew that. If I want to go to the California one, it will be California, go, done, 817. Um, this is certainly very valuable when you're doing searches. This one is usually used by telemarketers and people, salespeople, people that sell, and they're under a manager, and the manager assigns these records, whatever, to, so I can assign these to a particular person. Okay, so in this case, it's only me, but this is an example. This is my platform. And I'm going to assign it to me, and I'm going to assign it to all selected records. So I'm going to do it for all, okay? I'm going to do it for 800. And I'm gonna assign it to self. Well, that would be me. I wouldn't have to even to select this. If I'm selecting for someone else, I will click assign, selected, and I can assign it. Usually it's for today, but I can assign it on a different date, or even to the general box. Now let's say that I'm doing it for myself. As you can see, extremely fast. It was assigned 817 records. You can see that this is red because it's assigned to me. This is red because it's assigned to me. If it wasn't assigned to me, it would be yellow. And if it's assigned to no one, like this one is white, and or empty here, white. And then I can click here to find mine with these, or I can find somebody else's record. So this is another way to find. But again, this is more appropriate for telemarketers and salespeople, and the manager will assign the records. And then once they process those records, that they could click done, and then the manager can see there's something due. But I'm gonna click here, and boom, lo and behold, we have 817. So the ones that I originally assigned to me. Okay, so let's see what else we have. So he has to finish. Okay. And well, this one we have here only because this is going to be available by Monday. Is the linked records. So we don't have that soft today, the linked records. But even though this one is kind of that's the function. But I am decided to create a really a linked record. So in other words, that you can link somebody else in a company to other people's in the company, and that will be just one click. That will be to the side of the CRM sync. So it's going to be pretty trivial to use it. Just click on the button whenever it is, and it's going to ask you if you want to show the list of links, or you want to link someone, you want to unlink someone, and that's it. It will be listed, and then you can go to any of those, and very, very quickly, the same way that we go in a regular list. So for example, um, it's going to be similar to, let's do like this, 100 here. I'm going to put 100 only. It's going to be similar to list contact in the mini list. So it's going to be similar to this, but it's going to be automatically populated, and you will be able to, you see, to switch like I'm doing like this with all the link contacts um, very, very quickly. Usually you're going to have only a couple, two or three. It's not going to be 100, but it's possible to have 100 link contacts. So again, I couldn't finish it on time for the presentation, but it's going to be ready by Monday. And that will be all for today. I'm going to check just a second if we have this, if we have something in the chat. Um, let's see. No, I already answered that. And okay, okay, fine. So I'm gonna just put this thing. So just so you know, this is our little self talk. You know that you can get the program for less. Actually, you can buy for less than you're paying now for your other software, assuming that you are using all the software now. And that's pretty much that. I'm gonna leave this for a couple of minutes if you want to copy numbers, whatever. Thank you for being here and the support. And to the next occasion, most probably next Friday at 3 p.m. Thank you.